If this episode resonated, please share it with another mum who might need it. Follow us on socials at Burnt Out Mummas.
Check out our journey and we will help you to reconnect with yourself again. Please subscribe and download to all our episodes. It helps us a ton and keeps this podcast going.
Thanks.
Bye. Hello, Burnt Out Mummas. Hope you're all okay. We are in the studio sweltering hot today in this heat wave. So we have got the Tree of Life behind us. We're in the front room and we've had to move out because it was just too hot to film in there. So welcome back to the Burnt Out Mummas podcast, guys. Today's episode is an incredibly important one. We're joined by Katie, founder of Ask Joan. The reason why we're laughing is because I can't say this word. It's an innovative platform designed to help women experience domestic abuse, access support safely and discreetly. So this conversation could generally help someone listening today. So if you think someone needs to hear it, please share this episode. Katie, thank you so much for joining us and all of the mishaps in order for us to get on. It is so hot. We're all just like melting.
We're so flustered. And that innovative word.
I know. And we were leading up to it, try not to laugh, because obviously it's a really serious subject. So, Katie, thank you so much. Could you tell us about yourself and what inspired you to create Ask Joan?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Katie Longhurst, as said, the founder of Ask Joan. My day job, I'm a CTO for a health tech company, and I'm most importantly a mum. But as you mentioned, I'm also a survivor of domestic abuse. So Ask Joan started with a kettle. I was in an abusive relationship. To calm the situation, I used to basically say to him, I'm going to make you a cup of tea. Let's sit down, let's talk about this, and tell me what I've done wrong. So one day I thought, what if the kettle could call for help? What if the things that I already had that I was using to survive could be the one thing that saved me? That was the whole idea behind Ask Joan. Ask Joan? Ask Joan. I changed my name to Joan. Telling everyday clients basically in a way for people to call for help silently without anyone recognising that.
I think it's amazing. I think I saw you on BBC and I thought it's such an amazing idea. I mean, I think domestic violence, a lot of people have experienced it and it's a really serious subject. So obviously your background's tech, is it? Did you say you're a CTO?
Yeah.
Is that how it helped you develop the idea?
I think for me, my ex-perpetrator was ex-military and he owned a close protection company. So everything that the police put in place for me failed. I had a panic alarm, they didn't put on the first day recall. My house was bugged, spirals on my phone, trackers in my car. So I needed to find a way that I could call for help without him actually recognising and without creating an even worse hostile environment within my home.
Yeah.
So at the time I was working for a big FM energy company, creating smart buildings, and I was just like, there's got to be a safe way for me to call for help, which is what was the background behind Ask Joan. So I looked at energy data, because it's public, we own our own energy data. So I was like, there's got to be a way that I can create energy data to call for help, which is how we created Ask Joan initially, basically by turning a kettle, a toaster, and every household appliance on and off in a particular pattern. It sends emergency alerts when someone's next of kin, just because we use artificial intelligence and data models to detect that unusual surge in electricity. So for me, my partner wouldn't have been able to detect that because every time that his emotions would heighten, I was like, let's sit down, let's talk about this, I'm going to make you a cup of tea. So I could have gone to make him a cup of tea, turned the kettle on and off, called for help, gone back to the cup of tea, knowing that I was going to get the emergency response that I needed.
That's fantastic.
So did you actually set it up for yourself? Were you using it?
No, not at the time. So my case, how old is my son? So I've been out of my abusive relationship for 8 years. Doesn't mean the abuse has ended. But after that, I did, where he was ex-military and owned a close protection company, I had like 169 police reports. I ended up being moved to Northern Ireland. And when I came under like a new identity, so when I came back, I was like, there's got to be a better way. I've got to be able to help people that are in my situation because the police failed me time and time again.
Yeah.
Wow. although
Sorry
I'm
to hear
out of the
that.
relationship, I think it's made me who I am.
Yes, yeah. And this is like a big thing that we, we have guests and they've either been through trauma or something like this has happened in their life. And it actually, it's a big topic for us, isn't it? Because it jets you off to...
Well, it can lead to burnout. So, emotionally, it's so draining. And obviously, how you had to live to be on, eggshells all the time to manage his emotions. And he was so obviously unbelievably clever. He had his close protection company that you had to think outside the box. I mean, I think it was a saving grace as well that your background was technology. So it's led you to this.
Yeah, and actually what I was going on from what I said was what happens to you is put you in a position where you're helping millions out there from what you've experienced. Can you explain some different forms of abuse which people may not recognise when you're in that situation?
Yeah, of course. So for me, I didn't actually think it was domestic abuse until he actually broke my nose, broke my ribs, broke my cheekbone.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't recognise it as abuse because coercive control thrives in isolation. So controlling someone's phone, controlling their friendships, their access to help. So if we only build solutions that rely on the phone and we're leaving out women that need it the most. And I think people always think that domestic abuse is physical. It's not. It's economic abuse. You got £45,000 of debt in my name. It's stalking and harassment. It's monitoring and access. So I had a tracker on my car. I had Spyro on my phone. He bugged the house. He monitored every single area of my life. And I think
Wow.
that emotional abuse is much worse than the physical. It's much harder to recover on. I
Yeah.
thrived. It was awful. I would have taken being punched in the face any day over him belittling me. So his nice comments became cutting. Then it was I was dressing provocative and getting the wrong kind of attention. Then it was planting seeds about my friends, so telling me that my friends weren't good for me and my family. So essentially, I was left standing completely and utterly alone because he had isolated me from everyone. And that is really what coercive control looks like.
Yes.
In coupled with stalking and harassment, which people do recognise, and then violence. But the big underlying thing is economic abuse. You're financially trapped. I was in a privileged position that I had like a senior leadership job, so I was a member of SLT, but he still managed to get out £45,000 of debt within my name to trap me.
Wow.
And then he took control of our finances because he said, I'm planning for our future. I'm older, I'm more mature. I want to take control of your income because I'm planning our holidays, I'm planning to buy a house, I'm planning for our future. So everything he said to me, it was about how he was looking after me, but actually it was a form of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the difficult thing, like a lot of these behaviours, it's a lot of it's covered up around I'm doing it for the family, or we're working as a team, but once you are involved or trapped financially, it's very difficult to get out, because obviously how would you be able to get a house? How would you, I think if everybody was millionaires and they were in this kind of relationship or had access to money, they'd leave tomorrow. But it's that entrapment, isn't it, that's the scary part, and it's so easily done as well, because obviously when you are in a relationship, you want to help the other person, you want to help the family, you're giving, but it's to what extent that happens with. I mean, what behaviours would you say are dismissed that shouldn't be?
I think we're taught to look for bruises. I think that coercive control rarely starts there. It starts with, for example, I just want to know where you are because I worry.
Yeah.
It's him talking on your phone because he loves you. It's you slowly losing touch with friends because it's easier for them to have an argument with him afterwards.
Yeah.
And by the time that you're in that, you're slowly losing touch with your friends, your family. But by the time you're there, it doesn't feel like abuse because you've already lost your independence. So now you can't leave. And I didn't recognise that in myself for such a long time. It took me about 5 years to recognise that was actually abuse. And that's why I built something that you can call for help and reach out from before you actually recognise it's abuse. If you think that, oh, that's not right, then someone can have Joan for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
I mean, what exactly you've got into Ask Joan a little bit, but how does it work? So you went into it works with technology and the kettles or something. Do people have to pay for it or?
No, so we just set Ask Joan up as a charity. So I created Ask Joan 3 years ago, originally as a commercial product where I've partnered with local authorities. So if you look at domestic abuse, 20% of victims still aren't in the system. Other people are too scared to admit that they're a victim of domestic abuse, or they don't recognise that they're a victim of domestic abuse. So we've now made it a charity, so it's free and accessible for everyone. So it's not an app on your phone, so spyware wouldn't be able to detect it. It's all cloud-based. So
Right.
there's nothing installed within your home. We literally take a link directly from your smart energy meter and to stream your energy data so it can be activated by turning the kettle on and off in a particular pattern, or a toaster, or a hairdryer.
That is so clever.
Oh, I think that's
That
really
is a
clever.
really good use of AI. You know, when people talk about how AI can be detrimental, but that I think is something where it's just used in such a positive way.
And for the right solution.
And
really.
obviously, you said that's how you make it discreet and safe to use, because obviously a lot of coercive control, they want to go through your phone, they want to check your messages, and yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, what happens after somebody reaches out?
So how it works is if you trigger Ask Joan, a text message, push notification, or a call is made to their emergency contact. So within the company, we do have domestic abuse specialists, so trained IGVAs. So we always say that it needs to be tied to a safety plan. So when that alert happens, what is your safety plan? Is it that it's your next door neighbour popping in for asking for sugar? Or is it them calling a 999 response? So it has to be tied to a safety plan. Because obviously, if someone is not trained or you haven't got that plan in place, you're still at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're building really, I think, is something that's going to be really big. How far are you away? Have you already launched it, or are you nearly there?
No, it launched 2 years ago as a commercial product. So we partnered with local authorities, Women's Aid, Revolut, and Oasis, the domestic abuse charity that actually saved my life here in Kent. Then we realised that some of the victims were reaching out to us directly, and we didn't have the trained domestic abuse specialist support to provide them with that safety plan. So we looked at a different route of taking it as a charity, so we could actually get that specialist support internally to give them that safety plan and to give them that technology. So now it's launched as a charity, and we're making it publicly available to everyone.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
I think, and hopefully it will get out to our audience,
Yeah.
which is why I wanted to bring you on, because
What an inspiration you are.
Yes.
And, you know, from what you've been through, it's just fantastic to inspire so many others.
obviously you said before you were given a different identity or something, weren't you? And how
Yeah.
are you making yourself safe now, obviously, with this going public?
So the reason I went public is 3 years ago, I was sat with my son's godparent, and my perpetrator hasn't left me alone. So I still get regular death threats. My car still gets keyed. My tyres still get slashed.
Wow.
And it's been ongoing. And I built Joan as a way for my 12-year-old son to call for help. So he didn't have access to his phone. He knew that he could call for help. So, and I was talking to Max's godparent, and he said to me, he's still got control over you if you don't take this public. And I
Yeah.
figured now, he's told me that he's going to kill me for the last 13 years, and he's still here. He's not going to go away anytime soon. So the more that I'm in the public eye, the more that I raise awareness, the hopefully I reduce risk for other women.
I mean, I think you're so brave. I actually took an X2 court for domestic violence, and it was the same thing. It was like you either stand up or you sit. You know, you sit down, and other people will go through the same thing. But like, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder. So what you're doing, I do think, is really, really brave. But I think the outcome of it will be far greater than the risk, if that makes sense.
No, that's the way I see it too. I just would rather help use a platform, use my experience to help other people. I know that my perpetrator isn't going to go anywhere. I've got a normalisation, an enforcement order, prohibited steps order. I've got everything in place. But because of his military training, I'm never going to be safe.
Wow.
So why not use that for good?
Yeah. We had somebody on recently, didn't we, from was she from the States? And she said
she was from the States.
She was a top lawyer, actually, funny enough, and he was the same. He was very high powered, and he used to manipulate her with all these emails and everything.
Yeah.
And I said to her, do you know what it is, because she's written a book that makes that personality that way? And she said it was in her book, but she didn't reveal it. But it always fascinates me as to why people end up being that way, because it is so destructive and it's so cruel, isn't it? So,
and sometimes, she did actually touch upon, sometimes it happens in their childhood that, you know, and then that's why they become that person.
And it's like nothing means anything. It's just a form of winning as well. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in that situation, it's like a topic where, you know, like, who do you go to? And did you ever get to people and tell them how you're feeling, and they just say to you, why don't you just leave? And, you know, when you're in that, it's not as simple as that, is it? Can you give a bit of advice
of why it's not that simple?
Why it's not that simple, and like touch upon what you went through when you were in that situation?
I think the first thing for me was I didn't leave because I was in denial. Denial became my survival, that the person that I loved most in the world was the person that was actually destroying me. The first thing for me was denial. The second thing was asking for help actually meant that I had to admit that things were as bad as they were.
Yeah.
And often to yourself before anyone else, there's that shame, there's that fear that no one's going to believe you. And there's also that very real danger that reaching out could make things worse before they get better. So many women have tried to leave before, sometimes once, sometimes twice, but you don't know how exactly dangerous that moment is going to be until you try to leave.
Yeah.
And people think that women don't want to help, or they just stay because they love them. But sometimes the cost of leaving is higher than the cost of staying. So for me, my perpetrator's behaviour was in patterns. So it would start with emotional abuse. Then it would be damage to my car, damage to my property. Then it would just be gaslighting. So he would move things around in the house to make me feel like I was going mad.
Wow.
And every time I had the courage to leave, or I asked for him, he would then start harassing my friends.
Wow.
So I thought by staying, I was protecting my friends.
Yeah.
Because slowly but surely, he was picking off my friends one by one. For example, my best friend, he told her fiance that she was having an affair, and then contacted her boss and said that she'd accused him of sexual harassment. So I felt by staying, I was protecting my friends and family. And it got to a point where I thought if I stayed and he controlled every aspect of my life, I would be safe.
Wow.
And then when I got the strength to leave, I couldn't, because he had taken control of all of our finances.
Yeah.
And he had got all of that debt out in my name.
That's just crazy. In that situation, how can friends and family support someone without pushing them when you're in that situation?
I think for me, I needed someone to tell me that they believed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where my perpetrator was obviously close protection, ex-military, he was a master manipulator. He manipulated the systems that were in place to help me. He manipulated my friends, he manipulated my family. And when I said that I was it's 15 years ago, that coercive control and domestic abuse wasn't what we recognised then. So it's just letting people know that they're there for you, that they believe you, you're not alone, and that you're not actually going mad. That was the biggest thing for me, that I thought I was losing my mind.
It's it affects everybody around you. I mean, you said you've got a little one. How does domestic abuse affect children, do you think, even if they don't witness it?
So my son has got ASD. He has got really bad anxiety, and I didn't think that he would remember what happened. So he hasn't seen his dad since he was 2 years old. But the last incident that involved his dad was where the police put through the front door and the back door, because he had asked to see my son and he had left my son alone in the house to call the police. They had abandoned him. So they kicked through the front door and the back door to obviously rescue my son. My son then went on to play school, and any loud noise would trigger him, and he used to hide under the table.
Right.
Now he doesn't even trust law enforcement. He doesn't like loud noises, and things trigger him, and he's very angry, but he doesn't understand why. And I think because he was so young, I didn't recognise the impact that that would have on him.
Yeah.
But it also was, he wondered why he didn't have a dad. So I never actively told him that what his dad had done. I just said, oh, your dad's got a poorly head, because technically it's true. His dad has got a poorly head. But
Yeah.
I think now I've been down to telling the truth and spoke publicly, he understands that he's not the problem, that it's not that his dad didn't love him and his dad left him, it's that his dad wasn't very well. But I do think that children that are in that situation, you need to find them help. Like he had sound therapy and went to therapy where you draw pictures and talk, and they need to find that safe space because they still don't know how to deal with their emotions. He's 12 now and he still really struggles.
I think you've taken on a lot. Katie, I just want to say, I mean, what was the first steps that you took to get out of the relationship?
So for me, I reached out to Oasis Domestic Abuse Charity for advice because I wasn't sure whether what I was going through was domestic abuse.
Yeah.
So at this point, I had social services involved investigating me as an unfit mother. So obviously, he used to call the ambulance all hours of the night, so he was trying to kill himself. He then used to report me for abandonment and lots of different things. So the services that were meant to protect me didn't.
So he twisted the whole thing.
He twisted the whole narrative.
Yeah.
So I literally went to my local charity and I explained what he was doing. And I was just like, I don't understand. Is this domestic abuse? How can I leave? But it took me 12 times to actually leave that relationship. So they told me to think of, if I could had access to a phone, I could think of a safe word. So call someone, tell them a safe word so they could interrupt that situation and call for help for me. Have a bag packed. Have someone that knows the situation that you're in. Have money set aside and not wait for that situation to escalate and not wait for it to get physically violent. If I felt that I was walking on eggshells and I needed to leave that environment, then leave.
Yeah.
Always have an escape planned and know your support services. So for Oasis, I had their number saved on my phone, like not as Oasis abuse service, but so I knew that I had someone that I could call for help. And leaving doesn't happen overnight. Some days you feel really strong. Some days you feel like that decision is absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
I just had to take each day as it came. In the end, that decision was taken out of my hands because he hurt my son, and that was the catalyst. So he had strangled me, broken two of my ribs, broken my cheekbone, and threw my son down the stairs. So I instantly went into fight mode, and the police, I got a 991 response because my neighbours called the police. My panic alarm was, funny enough, disconnected by the police. So my neighbours called the police. They moved me to refuge in the middle of the night. And then they gave me a new identity and moved me to Northern Ireland. So I would have left at that point, but it would have taken me a time to leave. So I think don't be rash. Don't think you have to leave instantly. Work out your safest way to leave.
Yes.
Have the emergency contacts on your phone. Have a bag packed, but not in your own home, because that adds risk to you. So give that to a trusted friend or relative. And start setting aside money that you can have, and don't have your passports at home because you need that form of ID. So my driving license and passports I gave to my next door neighbour. I had a bag at my next door neighbour's just with like my son's toys and a change of clothes, just that if I knew I had to leave, I could leave immediately.
Yeah.
So you have to plan your escape, unfortunately, and don't wait for it to get violent.
Wow, oh God, this conversation today has been so important, and you are such an inspiration, and you're a survivor for us. Like, you're one of our prime survivors of our Burnt Out Mummas guests that have come on, because you are just so inspirational, what you've been through and what you've accomplished yourself from, you know, the Ask Joan as well.
You've taken the biggest step. Is he behind bars now?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Right, okay.
So I basically, my case was a bit different. So I had 169 police instances, and then I was actually arrested. So when they moved me to Northern Ireland, I didn't go into refuge for 3 months because he found me. So they literally changed my name. So I flew back on my old passport and got arrested at the airport for harassment of him.
No.
Then I got a solicitor, and then the Independent Crime Commissioner did an investigation into my case. But then where he had complex PTSD, he basically went down the mental health route, so he got sectioned, and then kept absconding from his mental health facilities. So I went down the legal route. I got a non-molestation order that's lifetime. I got a prohibited steps order. I got a residency order, and all of his parental rights removed from my son.
Yeah.
And I've even got an enforcement order. But because he still owns his own close protection company, he still has made me to be able to target me still.
Wow.
I mean, it's scary. It is scary.
So scary.
It's like a web, isn't it? But we wanted to get you on, obviously, to give others hope. And also, like, it's been in the news a lot about domestic violence. Sometimes after the football, it that's a trigger for them. And also, like, on how to leave, because if you don't leave in the right way, that can also be a trigger that can be really dangerous. So I love all the advice that you've given today, and we're going to put it all in our posts. And Katie, we're going to get all the details off you because we want to spread this as much as we can.
Thank you for, sharing with us.
Thank you. And we're going to share all the information about Ask Joan and put it in the description so listeners can find out more safely everything they need to know. And we just want to let you all know, remember, you're not alone, and support is available. And if you want to, we'll get some details off you, Katie, as well, if you've got any advice, we can put it on our post. So we want to just say thank you, everyone, for listening. And if today's episode especially has resonated with you, or you know someone who may need support, please share this episode. It could generally make a difference or save somebody's life. Katie, thank you again for coming on. I know it's something really brave, and
Thank you.
we're quite happy to share all the information about Ask Joan. And yeah, we hope to speak to you soon.
Thank
and good luck
you
with
so
everything.
Much. Thank you. We're blowing you kisses.
I know
from
today was
all the energy that you've given us today.
the heat
Thank
today.
you.
We managed to get it live. We had every obstacle going in front of us, but we did it. So,
and
thank you for bearing with
today
us.
that this will really resonate with one of our listeners out there, or some of our listeners out there. So what you've explained and put your situation in will really help someone. So thank you again.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Katie. Take
Enjoy
care.
the sun. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
If you're loving the show, don't forget to download our latest episodes. It helps us a ton by boosting the show and making sure more people find us.
Plus, you can listen anytime, anywhere, even offline.
And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Spotify so you never miss a new drop.
Want even more behind the scenes content? Follow us on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok at Burnt Out Mummas, one word, for exclusive clips, updates and fun extras.
Hit that follow button, send us a message, and let's keep the Burnt Out Mummas community going.